Ancient Egypt has captured our imagination for centuries, ever since the sands first revealed the secrets of the Great Sphinx. This powerful and iconic civilization was filled with incredible culture, art, traditions, and innovations that we still can't fully understand today. But it's not just the Great Pyramids or elaborate funerary rituals that make ancient Egypt so intriguing. There are some truly bizarre, mind-boggling discoveries that continue to leave archaeologists scratching their heads. In today's video, we're going to uncover the top 15 strangest things ever found in Egypt, some of which might just make you question everything you thought you knew. Let's start with number 15, Croc mummies. During ancient times, cats held a revered status in Egyptian society. Royals kept their feline friends close, both in life and death, often burying them alongside their owners. But cats weren't the only animals getting the mummification treatment. Over the years, archaeologists have uncovered some pretty strange companions: rams, gazelles, ibises, and even bulls. Heck, they even found scarab beetles clutching their precious dung balls. It might seem odd to us, but hey, it made perfect sense back then. Then came the real oddity: crocodiles. Nile crocodiles, to be exact. How the ancient Egyptians managed to catch and tame these huge reptiles is anyone's guess. Somehow, they did. And they didn't stop there. These crocs weren't just buried alone. Some were laid to rest with their babies. It's almost as if they believed the family that stays together, even in the afterlife. So, next time your dog misbehaves, just imagine trying to get a crocodile to calm down. Number 14. Ancient security systems. Ancient Egypt wasn't just about pyramids and pharaohs. It was also about security. Tomb robbers were like the original burglars, trying to snatch gold and treasures buried with the rich and famous. But Egypt wasn't about to make it easy. The tombs were loaded with death traps straight out of an action movie. Imagine walking in, thinking you're about to steal some treasure, only to find yourself face first in a pit full of spikes. Some tombs even had floors designed to break when you stepped on them, like the world's deadliest trampoline. And let's not forget the Great Pyramid, where the entrance was sealed with granite blocks, like the world's first no entry sign. Unfortunately, despite all this planning, even the Great Pyramid was looted. But conspiracy theorists love a good mystery, so they suggest that maybe, just maybe, the empty sarcophagus is just a decoy. Who knows? Maybe the real treasure's still hiding in there, waiting for the next Indiana Jones. Number 13. The Cursed Tomb. Let's talk about the tomb of Tutankhamun, the most famous tomb in the world, and also possibly the most cursed one. It's not just the mummies or the dazzling treasures that make it legendary, but the eerie rumors that surround it. Discovered in 1922 by archaeologist Howard Carter, Tut's tomb was hidden in the Valley of the Kings for centuries. Inside, 4 lavish chambers decorated with hieroglyphics, his furniture, jewelry, and a beautiful, albeit small, coffin. Sounds like a pretty nice final resting place, right? But then came the whispers of a curse. Shortly after the tomb's discovery, the Earl of Carnarvon, Carter's sponsor, dropped dead under mysterious circumstances. Did the curse really take hold, or is it all just coincidence? While the pharaoh's tomb might not be actually cursed, the idea of magic spells on possessions makes the whole thing feel like an ancient horror movie. Who's up for a spooky excavation? Number 12. The Royal Cache. If you're into mummies and royal scandals, the Royal Cache is your dream come true. Picture this: a huge, secret burial ground filled with the mummified remains of Egyptian royalty, including kings, queens, and lesser royals. Discovered in 1871 in the Theban necropolis, the Royal Cache was anything but your average grave site. In fact, it's a morbid treasure chest, housing the remains of over 50 royals, all neatly packed away like forgotten luggage. It's like a high-stakes game of Guess Who. but with mummies. Among the ancient remains, researchers have identified famous names like Ramses I and Ramses II. Imagine uncovering that. If this discovery had been anywhere else, it would have been called a mass grave. But in Egypt, it's the royal cache. Makes you think twice about what you might find buried in your own backyard, right? Number 11. The Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramid of Giza is the ultimate puzzle piece of ancient Egypt. You can't talk about Egypt without it, and for good reason. This wonder of the world is still a total mystery, not just because of its size, but because of how exactly it was built. We're talking about an ancient civilization with no cranes or heavy machinery, yet they managed to stack 2.3 million stone blocks with remarkable precision. Still, the real magic is how the pyramid is perfectly aligned with the Earth's meridians, almost as if the Egyptians had a cosmic compass. And the radius? It's linked to the sun's radius. Coincidence? Probably not. But it's still anyone's guess how they pulled this off with limited tech. The Great Pyramid is like an ancient riddle wrapped in stone, one we might never solve. Still, it's a reminder that ancient Egypt wasn't just about pyramids and mummies. These people were doing math and astronomy before it was cool. Number 10. Graves of clay. Who knew ancient Egyptians had their own version of budget burial plans? In 2020, researchers stumbled upon a grave site with 83 bodies all tucked away in clay coffins, which was kind of like the ancient equivalent of a quick and cheap IKEA project. These graves date back to the Naqada III period, roughly 4000 to 3000 BCE, when the pharaohs hadn't quite perfected their grand tomb game yet. The use of clay instead of stone? A bold move. But hey, when you're living in ancient times and don't have a Home Depot, you work with what you've got. The shallow graves made people scratch their heads. Was this an early budget-friendly burial plan, or was the gravedigger just in a rush? Whatever the case, these early Egyptians were buried with whatever little they had, so it's clear that the whole burying treasure with the dead trend didn't kick in until later. Maybe they were just saving up for their future pyramid digs? Number 9. Oxyrdus Papyri. Who knew that ancient scrolls could be so spicy? The Oxyrdus Papyri are like the ancient Egyptian equivalent of Instagram DMs, full of drama, love spells, and shady deals. Discovered in the late 1800s by archaeologists Bernard Grenfell and Arthur Hunt, these papyri are a mix of everything, from boring Christian gospels to love spells. There's even a contract for fixing a local wrestling match. Talk about ancient Egyptian WWE. These scrolls were preserved by Egypt's dry climate. Good news for parchment, bad news for anyone trying to figure out how long their books will last. If you're ever in Oxford, you can check out these ancient papyri at the university, but don't bother asking if the love spells still work. Trust us, they probably don't. Number 8. Cleopatras Alexandria. Cleopatras Alexandria. Sounds like something straight out of a history movie, right? Well, it kind of is, except it's real. Imagine an ancient city that once flourished with palaces, grand architecture, and priceless treasures, now sitting quietly beneath the Mediterranean Sea. Thanks to an earthquake and tsunami, Cleopatras Alexandria slipped below the waves, vanishing for over 1,600 years. But don't worry. Archaeologists like Frank Gaudio came to the rescue in 1998, uncovering what's left of this lost wonder. What they found was mind-blowing. Columns, shipwrecks, statues of gods like Isis, and even the Grand Palace foundations still intact. Divers today can swim down just 5 to 8 meters to catch a glimpse of history, but the visibility is notoriously bad, so unless you're equipped with James Bond-level gadgets, you might come up empty-handed. Still, the site is like the real-life Atlantis, mysterious, submerged, and begging to be explored. Could Cleopatra's city hold even more secrets beneath the waves? Number 7. the Kufu Ship. In 2016, a group of Czech archaeologists were just minding their own business, digging in the sands of Egypt when, boom, they uncovered a 62-foot funerary boat. Now here's the twist. It wasn't buried near a royal tomb, so naturally, the questions started flowing. Was it some commoner's boat? And if so, how did they afford something so grand? Why was it buried in the middle of nowhere, far from any river? And let's not forget, this boat had been sitting in the sand for over 4,500 years, perfectly preserved. The wood was still intact like it had just been put there yesterday. The mystery of this boat is so deep that the only people who really know the truth are the ones who buried it so long ago. Imagine being that archaeologist, thinking you were going to find some pottery, and then discovering an ancient boat instead. Now let's move to Number 6. The Lost City of Heracleion. So, you know how ancient cities sometimes get lost and people swear they never existed? Well, the lost city of Heracleion was one of those places, until it wasn't. For years, archaeologist Frank Gaudio scoured the coast of Egypt, convinced this city existed but unable to find it. Enter the year 2000, when new undersea screening tech made the impossible possible. Heracleion was found submerged, 6.5 kilometers offshore. But here's the kicker. This wasn't just some random town. Nope. The divers found gold coins, 64 sunken ships, and 16-foot statues of gods like Happy, the fertility god. We guess Heracleion was really into growth. So what caused Heracleion's watery demise? Scientists think it was an earthquake or the resulting tremors that did it. It's like ancient Egypt's version of a natural disaster movie, except in this case, it really happened. Number 5. Karnak. Karnak is like the ancient Egyptian equivalent of a theme park. If your theme park were made up of massive temples, towering columns, and statues the size of buildings. Located in Luxor, it's one of the largest temple complexes on Earth, and it's a place where history doesn't just happen, it looms over you. Built over 2,000 years, that's right, 2,000, the site includes everything from shrines to gods to massive obelisks. If you ever visit, don't miss the Avenue of Sphinxes. Picture this: ancient Egyptians strolling down a grand path flanked by towering statues, feeling like they owned the world. It took generations of workers to finish Karnak, and many of the pharaohs who started the project never saw it completed. But their legacy lives on in the colossal pillars and grand halls. Oh, and if you're feeling lucky, walk around the stone scarab 7 times. It's said to bring good fortune, especially in love. How's that for ancient Egyptian romance? Number 4. Tomb KV5. The tomb known as KV5 was a major discovery in Egypt's Valley of the Kings. Initially thought to be a small, insignificant burial, a 1995 excavation revealed it to be the largest tomb ever found in the valley. Hidden beneath the surface were over 120 chambers, and archaeologists believe that up to 150 more could still be uncovered. KV5 is the final resting place of the sons of Pharaoh Ramesses II, who reigned from 1279 to 1213 BCE. The tomb's walls are adorned with over 20 representations of Ramesses' sons, showcasing his deep affection for them. The size and complexity of KV5 hint at even greater secrets still buried inside. What's most remarkable is how the tomb's discovery altered our understanding of ancient Egyptian burial practices. It's a true testament to the grandeur of Egypt's royal family and the lengths taken to ensure that their legacies would live on forever. Number 3. Pet Cemetery. The ancient Egyptians had a profound love for their animals, and this is beautifully illustrated by the discovery of a pet cemetery in Hierakonpolis, a once thriving town along the Nile River. This site, dating back over 5,000 years, contained not just the bones of typical pets like dogs and cats, but also exotic animals such as baboons and even elephants. The wealthy residents of Hierakonpolis were known to keep these creatures as symbols of status, and archaeologists were astonished by the variety of species found. However, the discovery also revealed the darker side of this practice. Many of these animals bore signs of injury and trauma, likely caused during their capture or captivity. While the pet cemetery is fascinating, it serves as a bittersweet reminder of the cruelty that sometimes accompanies these ancient practices. It's a glimpse into the complex relationship the Egyptians had with their beloved animals. Number 2. Graffiti. Even in the ancient world, graffiti had its place. In Egypt, workers who helped build grand structures like the Great Pyramid of Giza left behind their personal signatures in the form of graffiti. These weren't just random marks, they were messages carved into the stones, a lasting testament to the people who worked on these monumental projects. One famous example is a tag found in the Great Pyramid's relieving chamber, which reads, "The Friends of Khufu Gang." Khufu was the pharaoh who commissioned the pyramid's construction, and this graffiti suggests a sense of camaraderie and perhaps pride among the workers. These marks provide an intimate connection to the past, showing that even the most ordinary laborers had a personal stake in the creation of these extraordinary monuments. Graffiti in ancient Egypt wasn't just an act of defiance. It was a way for workers to leave their legacy long after the sands of time had buried them. Number 1. The Valley of Golden Mummies. In 1996, archaeologists made one of the most extraordinary discoveries in Egypt's Bahariya oasis, the Valley of the Golden Mummies. Initially, 250 mummies were found, but subsequent excavations revealed that the number could be as high as 10,000. What makes this site so remarkable is that most of the mummies are incredibly well preserved, offering an intimate look into ancient Egyptian burial practices. The mummies span various social classes, as shown by the different styles of mummification. Some were adorned with gilded masks and elaborate depictions of Egyptian gods, while others had simpler pottery coffins, reflecting their lower social status in life. This vast necropolis reveals not only the grandeur of ancient Egyptian society, but also its diversity. The Valley of Golden Mummies stands as a powerful reminder of Egypt's rich history and the intricate ways they honored their dead, leaving behind a legacy that continues to fascinate modern archaeologists. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you soon.